Oh, hello! I've been watching Stranger Things. How's everyone else been doing? It's so nice of you to drop by to see me. So, you saw the sign, you know what's going on, let's go! As someone who adores Digimon Frontier unequivocally, unironically, and with their whole entire heart, this statement kind of stuck to me.
Why does everyone sleep on Frontier? Because Frontier is objectively a little bit of a mess.
It is!
As much as I like Frontier.
Yeah.
Because, okay, my immediate reaction was, of course, oh, I mean, I guess, but also, yes, and? Digimon Frontier is very hodgepodgey and non-linear, and that is what I love about it! Beyond, of course, the inherent allure of being connected on a soul level to mystical spirits and the concept of fusion. One of the biggest pieces of art advice I've seen floating around in the wild is that if you want an environment to feel real and lived in, you gotta add clutter, add dirt, add varied texture to that wood grain, incorporate mismatched pieces of furniture, make it messy! But one of the biggest pieces of writing advice I've always heard is that you need at least 2 separate drafts so that you can clean it up. This script and the events therein need more polish. This beat needs to be sharper. This character arc wibbled and wobbled and would have stuck the landing if it was tightened up. This, that, and the other thing needs to be clearer. It's too muddled. The feng shui is off!
I wish Encanto would be less focused.
Watch your mouth, young lady. Wait till your mother hears about this.
Folks like when a piece of art is tightly constructed and makes a clean arc. And I am also folks. It feels good and secure and satisfying when you get into a story, you're given what you can expect from the story, and then you are taken on the ride you expected to be on, and come out the other side feeling as though you have gained the unique experience you sought out. Why do I speak like this? It's why genre is such a useful concept. I say the words horror, suspense, magical girl show, and you immediately know what the big shape of that looks like. The fun trick comes when I add the word messy in front of that, because messy is normally used to mean inefficient and undesirable. Clean up this mess, it makes the space harder to inhabit. What is this mess? It's ruining both the functionality and aesthetics of the place. You're so messy, you need to shape up or you'll never be the best version of yourself. I am here to assert that this notion is not the whole story! The core difference between messiness as illustration or visual art advice versus messiness in a story and plot is the element of the passage of time. Time doesn't pass in a still drawing. That's why it's so hard to get motion down in comics, but stories and plots inherently have time as an element. The representation of a story taking place over time can take on a lot of forms. The basic amount of time it takes to portray a thing happening at all, power-ups and training arcs to mark progress, aggregating new clues and phases of a mystery, the physical descent into hell in Dante's Inferno, the literal time you sink into getting past obstacles in a video game, or strategizing a TTRPG campaign. All of these work! All of them are fun and good! But none of them invoke the raw, temporal tactility of a story that allows itself to be messy. Even in video games, or in conversing over a table during a Pathfinder session, repeat attempts at that obstacle, or looping and vaguely imagining in-universe time as you hop between POVs and gloss over bits for utility, they both make the passage of time kind of smooth over into almost a partial fugue state. It's not grippy enough! I love me a good tight story like Glass Onion and Prison of Plastic, where the setups and payoffs are deliberate, and it runs like a well-oiled machine that brings pure immersion and investment and whisks you away. But I 1000% have a ravenous appetite for stories where there's just noticeable flashes of, oh look, an exposed support beam, and oncoming chunks of hot nonsense, like Homestuck or Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. I realize as I'm writing that all of that is why I consistently like the beginnings of stories far more than the middles or ends of them, because the beginning is the congregation of important factors going into the story before they have yet formed a complete braid. It's fresh dirt, some seeds and lumber, and a slightly disorganized toolbox. It's some shack you found in the middle of the woods that you have ideas for popping into your brain like soda bubbles. It's a person who clearly needs some TLC asking you for help with a makeover. The vagary and soft messiness that invites you to dig your hands in and get things moving. Anyone with ADHD knows how much of a conscious effort it requires to keep a space clean and organized and properly managed, and sometimes your needs changed. Sometimes the thing itself changed. Sometimes something else gets forgotten and remembered, like at last minute. or not at all. Because anyone can only have so much within their attention at the same time, so you gotta cycle through all those things, one after another, and God, wouldn't it just be nice to have everything be clean and orderly and organized without having to try so hard all the time. That is the allure of being told a complete story. The promise of having something clean and complete to ingest and experience that can never be made inefficient and undesirable by the ravages of time. But I want the ravages of time, gosh darn it! Good improv, like the kind you see around the table of actual play shows like Dimension 20, or Forgotten Indigo, or Rolling with Difficulty, requires a comfortability with the messiness and an awareness of time. Mess does not inherently mean badly prioritized. If you have your priorities in line, you can be comprehensible enough to be understood without having to finely stitch together your whole thing and be constantly pristine. I once read a book where a girl who decided keeping her room clean and her floors clear was not her priority, and when she invited someone inside, he asked how on earth she navigated this mess, and she pointed around and said pathways, and he noticed there were little walkways between all the areas she deemed important to get to. Her door, her laptop, her bed, her closet. Her room's a mess, but once you know enough, the mess is navigable and a pretty serviceable environment for her. It's not a constantly shifting arbitrary chaos, it's just mess. The ravages of time do not matter in chaos, because chaos cares not for time's passage. It is probability married to excess, pure randomness and motion. The ravages of time do matter in a mess, because mess is squiggly sketches of where you're headed and the nonsense you've come through, and all the nonsense still to go, clear on the road and collecting as you go. Chaos is tangible in its intensity, but mess is tangible in its ability to make you take stock of the processes and variables crunching together as you move through a story. That's another appeal of a messy story. The proclivity for cluttercore-esque maximalism, where you witness the layering and arrangement of every bit and bob and boutonniere from square one. Like, yes, give me all the ideas that come along and add them like the arrangement of a rich decorique ensemble or whatever the fuck I'm saying. The point, okay, this point admittedly, is the most your mileage may vary out of everything I've said so far, but that there is value and investment and wonder and interest in a story that isn't clean and tight and sharp. I feel obligated to end this with a fun, cute conclusion paragraph, like they say you should do in English class. Which is precisely why I will not do that! Loop the video again if you didn't get the point. Choose some bubblegum. Go watch Digimon Frontier. It is objectively the best Digimon series, and I will die on this hill! Ugh. I need water. Sing a song, yes, a travel song when you gotta go somewhere, 'cause the fun is getting there. Now what the heck, I must confess, I love a road trip. Sing a song, hit the trail, forget the maps, forget the guides. Before you know it, you've made strides with me. And I know all I need all along is a path and a pal and a song, so I'm singing and I'm palling with you. See? Makes the time go by much faster.